There was once a young thinker who felt suffocated not by poverty, nor by oppression, nor by tragedy, but by comfort. The world around him functioned smoothly. People worked, married, believed what they were taught, repeated inherited truths, and called it stability. They prayed, voted, argued, and slept under the illusion that everything essential had already been decided. But the young thinker sensed something unbearable beneath the surface. A quiet decay. It was not physical. It was spiritual. He could not name it at first. Only that the values he had been given felt second-hand. The morals he defended felt borrowed. The dreams he chased felt designed by someone else. One night, unable to tolerate the tension any longer, he walked away from the lights of the town and toward the mountains that loomed in silence beyond the horizon. He did not know what he was seeking, only that he could not remain. The climb was brutal. The air grew thin. His legs trembled. His thoughts, once scattered, began to sharpen in the solitude. There is something about isolation that strips away illusion. Without noise, one must face oneself. Halfway up the mountain, he encountered a solitary figure seated on a jagged stone. Gazing over the valley below, the figure spoke without turning. "Why did you leave?" The young thinker paused. "I could no longer breathe down there." The figure nodded slightly. "And do you breathe here?" The young man hesitated. "Not yet." The figure finally turned. His eyes were piercing, not cruel, but unflinching. "You have mistaken altitude for transformation," he said. "Changing location does not change the self." "Then what does?" The young thinker asked. The man stood slowly. "Destruction." The word echoed. "Destruction." The young man repeated. "Yes," the man said calmly. "You cannot create new values while clinging to old idols." The young thinker felt a tremor inside. But what if those idols are sacred? The man's lips curved into something between a smile and a challenge. "That is precisely why they must be questioned." The wind roared between them. "You feel suffocated," the man continued, "because the morality of the herd has wrapped itself around your spirit. You were taught obedience and called it virtue. You were taught humility and called it goodness. You were taught to fear your own strength." The young man felt exposed. "In the valley," he whispered, "they say we must submit to God, to society, to tradition." "And what do you say?" The man asked sharply. The young thinker realized he had never truly answered that question for himself. "I don't know," he admitted. The man's gaze softened slightly. "Good. Ignorance, when honest, is fertile soil." He stepped closer. "Listen carefully. Humanity is not a final creation. It is a bridge, a dangerous crossing between animal and something higher." "Higher?" the young man asked. "The overman," the figure replied. "The one who creates his own values. The one who does not wait for permission to become." The young thinker felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "But how can one create values?" he asked. "Aren't values discovered?" "No," the man said firmly. "They are forged. In struggle. In conflict. In the fire of self-overcoming." The young thinker looked down at the valley. It seemed smaller now. "What if the people below are content?" he asked. The man's eyes flashed. "Contentment is often disguised exhaustion. They are tired of thinking, tired of questioning, so they cling to ready-made truths. And that is wrong." "It is comfortable," the man replied. "But comfort breeds stagnation, and stagnation breeds resentment." The young thinker understood now why this man was considered dangerous. "Are you saying we must reject everything?" he asked. "No," the man answered. "We must test everything, especially what we hold sacred." The mountain seemed alive with tension. "And what of suffering?" the young thinker asked. "If we abandon comfort and tradition, do we not invite chaos?" The man's expression grew intense. "You speak as though suffering is the enemy. Isn't it?" "No," he said quietly. "Suffering is the hammer." The young thinker felt the weight of that metaphor. "Pain is not proof that you are broken," the man continued. "It is proof that something in you is being reshaped." He gestured toward the mountain itself. "Look around. Nothing great was formed without pressure, without collision, without resistance. And what if the weight is too much?" the young man asked. The man stepped closer still. "Then you grow stronger. And if I break, then you rebuild, stronger still." The wind howled. But the young thinker no longer felt cold. I fear becoming arrogant, he confessed. If I create my own values, what prevents me from becoming a tyrant? The man's eyes sharpened. True strength does not seek domination over others. It seeks mastery over itself. The young thinker felt something click inside him, so the battle is internal. Always. Silence settled between them. The young thinker realized that the mountain was not merely a physical ascent. It was a metaphor for a confrontation with oneself, with inherited beliefs, internal fears, moral assumptions, and hidden resentments. And what of God? The young man asked carefully. The man's gaze turned toward the sky. If you require an external authority to tell you how to live, then you have not yet discovered your own creative power. The young thinker swallowed. So we are alone? The man shook his head. No. We are responsible. The distinction struck like lightning. Alone meant abandoned, responsible meant powerful. The young thinker felt both, terrified and liberated. What happens if I succeed? He asked. The man's expression softened. You will not succeed. Not in a final sense. Self-overcoming has no endpoint. No summit. The young thinker asked. No summit, the man confirmed. Only ascent. The valley below was now distant, but not invisible. It still existed, with its comforts, its customs, its shared illusions. The young thinker understood that he could return at any time. But he also understood something else, that he could never return unchanged. What is your name? The young man finally asked. The figure looked at him steadily. My name is not important. What matters is whether you have the courage to become who you are. The young thinker felt a surge of clarity. He realized that the greatest danger was not external authority, but internal cowardice, the refusal to question, the refusal to grow, the refusal to suffer for something higher. He took a step upward. The air burned his lungs. Another step. His muscles trembled, but now each movement felt deliberate. He was no longer climbing to escape the valley, he was climbing to confront himself. Yes, he ascended. The voice behind him echoed one final time, become who you are. And in that command, he understood everything, not as doctrine, not as dogma, but as challenge. The mountain did not promise peace. It promised transformation, and so he climbed, not to find certainty, but to forge it, not to destroy the world below, but to transcend it within himself. Not to become superior to others, but to become sovereign over his own spirit. And in that endless ascent, in that eternal act of self-overcoming, he found something greater than comfort, greater than approval, greater even than safety. He found his will, and with it, the courage to create himself, again and again, against the winds of doubt and the gravity of the herd. The climb never ended. But neither did he, and that was the point. And yet, as he climbed higher, something unexpected began to happen. The fire that had once burned as rebellion slowly transformed into something deeper. Not rage, not rejection, but refinement. He realized that the early stages of ascent are often fueled by resistance. One climbs away from something, from conformity, from imposed morality, from the suffocation of borrowed meaning, but higher still, one no longer climbs away. One climbs toward what? Toward integration. The young thinker paused on a narrow ledge and looked back. The valley was now small, not insignificant, but distant. He no longer felt hatred toward it. He no longer needed to condemn it. It had been necessary. Without the valley, there would have been no tension. Without tension, no ascent. He began to understand a deeper layer of the lesson. The herd was not evil. It was unfinished, and so was he. The danger had never been society itself. The danger was unconsciousness, living without questioning, obeying without examining, believing without choosing. As the path grew steeper, the mountain demanded more from him. The air thinned to a sharp clarity. Each breath was deliberate. Each step required awareness. There was no room for distraction here. No room for illusion, and that was when he felt it, not weakness, but confrontation. A voice within him spoke, why continue? It was not the voice of fear alone. It was the voice of exhaustion. The voice of the part of him that longed for rest, for certainty, for final answers. He closed his eyes. He had thought self-overcoming meant conquering doubt once and for all, but now he understood. Self-overcoming meant meeting doubt every time it returned, and choosing again, choosing ascent, choosing growth, choosing responsibility. That mountain was not trying to defeat him. It was testing whether he truly desired transformation. He thought of the old man's words, "Self-overcoming has no summit." He had misunderstood at first. He thought it meant endless struggle without reward. Now he saw it differently. The reward was not at the top. The reward was the becoming. Each challenge reshaped him. Each resistance refined his will. Each moment of questioning deepened his awareness. He realized something profound. The overman was not a destination. It was a direction. A way of being. A commitment to continual self-creation. He stood again and climbed. But now, the climb felt lighter, not easier, but meaningful. He no longer sought to destroy the valley's values in anger. Instead, he sought to build his own in strength. He no longer defined himself by opposition. He defined himself by creation, and in that shift, he felt a new kind of power, not domination, not pride, but sovereignty. He reached a high plateau, not the summit, but a vast open space where the horizon stretched endlessly. The sky above him was immense, silent, infinite. For the first time, he did not feel small beneath it. He felt aligned. He sat down and reflected. What had he gained? He had lost blind obedience and gained discernment. He had lost borrowed certainty and gained chosen conviction. He had lost comfort and gained vitality. He understood now why. The path was lonely because self-creation cannot be outsourced. No one can climb for you. No one can suffer for you. No one can choose for you. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but it was clean. It was honest, and in that honesty, he felt free. He imagined returning to the valley one day, not to preach, not to condemn, but to live. To embody what he had forged. He understood that transformation is not loud. It does not demand followers. It does not require recognition. It simply is. He thought of suffering again, of the hammer. How many times had he cursed resistance? How many times had he wished for ease? Now he saw that without resistance, he would have remained soft, undefined, mold. By others, struggle had not been punishment. It had been invitation. An invitation to become stronger than his fear, stronger than his resentment, stronger than his need for approval. The wind swept across the plateau. He stood once more and looked upward. The mountain continued. There was always more height to reach, more layers of self to confront, more illusions to dismantle, more values to refine, and instead of despair, he felt exhilaration, because now he understood something final, or as final as one can be in a life of becoming. The goal was never peace without tension. The goal was harmony with tension. To say yes to life in all its contradictions. To affirm joy without denying suffering. To embrace growth without demanding guarantees. He whispered to the vast sky. Yes. Yes to struggle, yes to responsibility, yes to uncertainty, yes to becoming. And in that affirmation, he felt whole, not finished, but whole. He took another step upward, not because he needed to escape the valley, not because he needed to prove anything, but because becoming had become his nature. He would stumble again. He would doubt again. He would suffer again, but he would also rise again and again and again, because he now carried within him something unbreakable, the will to create himself. The mountain stretched infinitely above, and he smiled. There was no end, only ascent, and for the first time, that was enough.